Following is a paid program. The content is provided by the advertiser. WPSL, its staff, management, and ownership are not responsible for the content. Investment involves risk. Prior to making any investment, an investor should meet suitability requirements. Past results are not necessarily indicative of future performance. Neither the opinions expressed nor the information provided constitutes a recommendation to purchase or provide investment advice. The material presented is not a substitute for obtaining professional advice from a qualified person or firm. Securities offered through Centaurus Financial, member FINRA and SIPC. And now, the host of the Team Martek Hour, Joe Martek.
I got a lecture as soon as I came in.
Yeah.
The first lecture was that I'm late.
You're a whole minute late.
So they had to play more news.
We did.
Well, that's all right. People learn some stuff.
You think so?
Absolutely. I always learn
Hey,
stuff on
we're
here.
here to teach.
Teach and preach.
Speaking of which, the market was down pretty heavy yesterday. And
But wasn't it way up?
Oh,
Sure it was.
it's more than way.
So
way,
everything
way
that goes up must come down.
Well, it can't keep going anywhere near at the pace it was going. I call it the Trump bump.
The Trump bump. That was
And
a good.
it literally, the perception is everything. Reality, forget that. It's what people think is reality, perception, and the enthusiasm.
Kind of like fake news.
Well,
What
yeah.
people
But if
perceive
you
as
believe
reality.
it, but if you believe it, it's true.
yeah.
And the concept, in spite of the media, of what Trump is pulling off, most people are a bit excited. I've talked to some clients of mine that are up in Maryland and Delaware that are into commercial real estate and stuff, and they said that the attitudes of everybody they're dealing with is extremely positive, that it's easier now conceptually to start putting deals together.
Well, I'm starting to see more people come in to get workers' compensation insurance, which is an indication that they're hiring. Because
No doubt about it, yeah.
Well, I guess you have some more workers then, right?
Well,
That's why you have to
if
have
you're in the trades, you have to get the policy on your first employee. So,
Okay.
there are a lot of guys who let's say, had little shops, who had a couple of people who let them go and did all the work themselves, and now they're starting to be where they need
I had an idea.
more.
I just had a thought. What if they
Is
had...
that a dangerous thing?
It is. It is.
What
If they had employees that were not really supposed to be working and they left and now they had to hire people with papers?
Well, the point is this. There's an audit that's done on workman's comp, so they're looking at payroll. Now, if you're paying people cash money and there's no payroll on it, you, the owner of the company, is going to pay a lot of tax.
Well, don't forget now, the state says if you're in construction, first employee, you got to have comp. Now, you can exclude up to 3 officers if you're going to make these people officers. But don't forget, if you have someone who you're paying cash to and they get hurt, they're come looking for you.
What
to
if
take
what
care
if
of
you
them.
have
You put an officer down, and that's an accountant as an officer,
Okay.
and he's out there on the construction job laying block.
Yeah.
There's kind of a clue.
Well,
That's right.
what if you're the guy with the construction? And we're picking on construction people.
I know,
We don't
but-
mean to be. You have the license as the contractor, and everybody is an independent contractor.
Yeah.
But they're working under
you have to
your
understand
real
that
license.
independent contractor status to be true, they have to meet certain tests that the IRS throws out.
Yeah, they're supposed to set
Just
their own
because
hours.
I tell you you're an independent contractor doesn't mean it's true. And if you were to get hurt, chances are you're going to say, I never said I was an independent contractor.
Right.
I'm hurt and I'm looking to you to take care
Yeah,
of me.
but then
and don't think that won't happen.
the company is going to go, well, I didn't invite you here in the first place. You
Well,
got
here's-
hurt on your own.
Here's the proof of the checks you've been giving
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Hey, money, but you can't hide canceled checks. I will tell you.
But if you weren't paying taxes on that money that you earned, then you'd want to keep them hid,
I would
wouldn't
say
you?
I'll deal with that with the IRS. You're going to take care of
yeah.
me from my workers' comp.
Yeah.
One person gets injured
Complicated.
on the job, and workman's comp is not there to pay because they're not recorded. This is a big problem.
Oh, the OSHA may come in, the Fed may come in. You could see all kinds of problems.
You could actually go to jail.
Now, would liability cover that person?
That's different.
No, different story. Liability is
But if
somebody
they said
walking
they
on
weren't
your-
really working,
if they weren't really working and they walked on the site and they got injured.
Now we're asking the what ifs, and I
Yeah,
hate what if
yeah.
questions. And I usually say that's what my lawyer's for those what if
key-
answers.
wow.
My brother's a general contractor, and he hires subs. Every sub has to provide an insurance certificate and a workman's comp certificate before they can do any work on the job, because it's called, hey, the potential for liability is phenomenal.
And if he's smart, about every quarter, he'll
update
ask
them.
for a new one.
Yeah.
I know some GCs who say, you want this draw check? I need a new certificate. I don't care if you gave me one last month.
Yeah.
I need a new one.
Yeah.
Now, my staff hates that.
Of course.
Because we're issuing like you wouldn't believe how many. But we understand because
that's what
insurance can lapse.
So where, let's say your brother's building a new home for just mom and pop.
Yeah.
They're buying. They're
Right.
building a new home. Someone gets hurt. Are the homeowners, because they're really not living there yet? It's under construction.
They own the land.
So they
People
should
can
be
get
carrying
drawn into all
insurance.
kinds of stuff.
Here's the key. This is Sue America.
Of course.
If you're going to sue somebody, you don't sue one. You sue everybody, and potentially could be a part of it. That's why you have insurance. So the homeowner, if they're building a brand new home, they go to Dan and say, Dan, we're going to buy this lot and build this brand new home. We need to get insurance. Dan
Get a
writes-
builder's risk.
Okay,
Dan
so
does
there's a policy for the owners.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then my brother's going to build the house. He goes to Dan. He says, hey, I need to have liability insurance. I need to have workman's comp. I need to have this. What do I need to do for my subs to make sure that I'm staying legal? Dan would give him exactly what needs to be done. I mean, same thing
And then
we're
the
talking.
sub comes in and he
So
buys insurance.
everybody's insured.
Well, you
Yeah.
All the way up to the architect who designed the house.
Yeah.
Because if something happens, they're going to sue everybody remotely connected.
So the house collapses. That's the architect's fault.
Sure.
Or the contractor's fault. Or the husband's wife's fault. I mean, the key is this. So it's not a simple system. But the key is this. If you do it right, it's really part of the deal. It's just a part of the deal.
Well, I can give you a personal example. Years ago, Joe, I had a lot of my staff out at a training session. We had a nice lady who came in from a temp service. She was answering the phones, and she said, I'm a little bored. Can I do a little filing? And I said, well, absolutely. And somehow she managed to get the top 2 drawers out.
Oh.
And the file cabinet hurt her. It started coming down and hurt
Because
her.
they got top heavy.
Got top heavy. So the manufacturer was drawn into the suit because it was faulty design. The person who I bought it from was drawn in because he didn't set it up right, because there's supposed to be little adjustments in the front. They're supposed to tilt it back just a little. The person who she worked for got sued because she was their employee. I got sued because it happened on my premise.
Your files.
Okay?
Yeah.
So everybody was in line. Ultimately, it was the employer and the manufacturer who ended up paying, but everybody else had to have their lawyers respond.
But in reality, you have to go back. She should have never opened 2 drawers at the top.
Well, it's not supposed to be able to happen.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I'm just
But that's like
guesstimating.
bookcases now. If you buy a bookcase, it has a little chain, and you're supposed to chain it to the
To the
wall.
wall, right?
Because how many children climb
Look
up
at
and make
IKEA.
topples
They,
on?
they just
Yeah.
settled, didn't
Why
they?
wouldn't you climb them if you were a kid? I'd climb a
We
book.
all did. Point is this, back then they used to fall on kids too. But
Yeah.
the key is now there's more media coverage for everything. And there's more more attorneys than ever. And there's more
I was
lawsuits
riding
than
my
ever.
tricycle, hit the chest of drawers, and the mirror fell on my head.
Of course.
Is it the mirror's fault?
Yeah, yeah.
No, it was my dad's fault for putting it up there. Nobody
But there's
else's
got to be a
fault.
disclaimer.
Why were
on-
you riding in the house?
I don't know. I was,
what I'm trying to say.
I probably
is
shouldn't.
It was
have
your
been.
mother's
It was
fault.
my mother's fault for
that
letting
she got sued too. And it's hey, the concept is this: if you're a legitimate business person, you've got yourself protected, and you're protecting your client, and that's what you do. And you go to a guy like Dan and say, Dan, hey, I'm starting this new business. What do I need to do? And Dan's got enough experience in doing this for different businesses that he'll say, here's what you need to do.
But it's great, though, to find out that there are more people signing up for
There
workers'
are,
comp because you know that they're putting people
Well,
to
the
work.
economy's getting better. I mean, most of what I see is large contractors, national contractors building mostly track houses. But I am starting to see more custom homes here and there throughout the city, and so that's a good sign. That's a good, because they put lots of people to work.
Ms. Victoria Lloyd was saying the same thing, that a lot of new construction going on, which becomes a competitor for her as a realtor, because she
New
normally,
versus existing.
yeah. But on the other hand, she also works with builders to build new homes. So when somebody says, hey, I want to buy a lot and build a house, can you help me? Well, of course you can. That's what you do when you're a credible professional.
Well, therein land becomes more expensive.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm starting to see new houses built on very busy roads, and I'm thinking, why would you
Yeah.
move there?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
probably because the
Yeah.
land was reasonably
Then
priced.
it's still paradise if you come from somewhere up north.
Well, that's true too. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
And if
I
you-
only
and-
know what I know. Remember we talked about reality? My reality is
Is-
this.
right,
My reality
right.
is not New York City.
I know.
Yeah, but you got to admit, remember when you live right next to the train track?
No, I never remembered that. Judge.
No, but I'm saying you live right next to the train track. There's no problem. You get used to it. As soon as you move away from the train track, you can't sleep anymore.
You miss it. I did live under the airline as they were coming in to
Yeah, yeah.
land. I did live under that. We used to fly our kites up there to see how high we could get.
FAA comes knocking on you.
They never. It was a different time.
You
It's
kids
kinda-
are messing with the pilots.
It's kind of funny when we say that. A lady that I know has teenage kids, boys. Now, I'm telling you that you don't ever want to ask her how are the boys because she starts rolling her eyes. Which one's not in trouble now? Well, one of them convinced her that he wanted to buy him a laser.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Laser
I
gun.
can see
Sure.
problems.
And I said, why'd you do that? And he goes, well, he's a responsible kid. There's no problem. Well, sure enough, he lasered a police helicopter.
Okay.
Yeah.
See if it'll make it. It'll make it.
It'll make it.
And
then-
they came to the house.
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
they tracked it
Because
down.
that could have been a rifle.
No kidding. Anyway, it's against
Yeah.
it's against the law.
Yeah.
And just lucky he was a kid. Lucky that the police did not pursue it because they could have legally. The FAA.
But you know what I found over my years of dealing with the police? Most of them are pretty decent guys.
Yeah.
They truly are there to serve and protect. Unlike some people who think they're there to harass you.
Of course,
They're
of
not
course.
there to harass you, but they live in a different time now. I mean, there are a lot of things going on that are designed
boy.
to put them in a bad light. So they got to be so careful.
Well, the key was, and when Dan and I, and probably you too, Veronica, we were raised, we had fear of our father, number one.
And respect was a little bit higher than it is today.
Respect. See, I think you learn fear when you're a kid first, and respect kind of flows.
Yeah.
I would have never dreamt to give a police officer a hard time.
Yeah.
Never.
Ever.
Never. Anyway,
Well, I always say he's the first judge you meet.
yeah.
He is the first judge you meet.
Yeah.
He can decide how your day is going to end
doubt
up
about it.
And
today.
they can make it tough on you.
You know, if you're cooperative and you're kind and you do everything you're supposed to, explain your situation.
when you're young-
it's going to be business. But if you mouth off and you're now you're in a different.
When you're young,
Position.
you have a little different perspectives. Let me give you another personal story here. So I'm in high school. I'm driving a nice little motorcycle. The law in Florida changes where you have to wear a helmet, but it doesn't specify where. It doesn't
Okay.
specify where.
Okay.
So I wear it on my knee.
Okay.
And we have a police officer on our campus who promptly gives me a ticket. And I said, oh, I'm wearing the helmet. It doesn't say where it has to be. And he gives me the ticket anyway. So we go to the traffic judge about 2 weeks later, who I knew. I explained to her my position. They didn't have computers, so she said, excuse me, I got to go back to my chamber and I'll look at the statute. She comes back, tells the police officer in a not very nice way what he did was wrong, and I was certainly right, and never give me a ticket like that again. Now, even though I was right, for the next year and a half in high school,
You were on the caca list.
I was
Oh,
on
yeah.
the bad list.
You know it. They
Now,
were watching for you.
When they changed the
They
law,
owed you one.
when they changed the law to where it had to be on your head,
Okay.
I put it on my head and nicely drove around him in a circle, waving with pointing
Nicely.
at my
See?
head.
Yeah.
And I met him about 30 years later at a fundraiser, and he remembered me to that
No
day.
kidding.
So you never know.
Yeah.
That was like when my dogs got the ticket and got arrested, and I got out of the
Dogs
ticket. And
got
the animal
arrested.
control officer
Amazing.
was really upset, and people were warning me, Joe, they're going to be laying for you forever, because they went through all kinds of hoops to get that ticket,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you didn't pay it, you got it thrown out, and of course they get a lecture from the judge for wasting their time.
But the key is now I have learned, and I am extremely nice. I'm extremely polite.
That's because you have Nancy.
Well, yes.
Yeah, well, yes.
You know, you're not supposed to be the same person when you were 17 when you're in your 60s.
Well,
You're
if you were,
supposed to
you'd be
change.
dead by now.
You're supposed to change.
I mean, come on. Listen. What is it? When you're 16, your parents are stupid.
Yes.
When you turn 30, they start getting smart.
Yeah. I asked my daughter I'm still stupid.
You're still stupid.
Kids today are different.
Well, how old's your daughter?
32, 33, something like
Well,
that.
she hasn't grown up yet.
No. Ain't gonna happen.
Some kids resist like crazy. Now, boys, we get to 14 and hover our whole life.
We just get a little older and better toys, more expensive.
340-1590, 340-1590. This is the Dan and Joe Show, which is also called the Team Martek, which the other team members are not here, and very often it is the Dan and Joe Show. Concept was simple back somewhere before 2004. Dan Woron, independent insurance agent, Greg Fasula, attorney, Joe Martek, financial advisor, started doing radio shows to answer questions and help local people with local problems that might have to do with their money, investing, that might have to do with their house insurance, homeowners insurance, commercial insurance, business insurance, and or legal matters, and especially wills and trusts, and how as the law changes, whether people needed a will or a trust or what happened. So 3 of us started doing the shows, and then over a period of time, as the economy changed, we added Ms. Victoria Lloyd, Remax of Stewart, because this last recession was highly reconnoitered around real estate. And we also added Mike Paulus, mortgage broker, back to the same thing. It was all in concept. That became the big subjects. So the concept of the group was very simple. Everybody's here to help you save money except Joe Martek. I'm here to make you money, which kind of helps you save money.
And that's a good philosophy.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
And let's face it, Joe, we get so many people who called in over the years asking good questions,
Right.
which is a nice prompt for people out there listening. Hey, if you got a question that we can help you with, give us a call. If we can't give you the answer instantly, we'll try to get it for you the next time we're on the air, and it all works.
340-1590, 340-1590. I heard a new thing today, Dan, on the way in on CNBC. Art Cashin, who's a very well-respected broker, who's, anyway, very well-respected old guy. They're talking about a potential of a new bubble.
All right.
This is one, I think it's quite a stretch, and that is car loans.
Well, are you talking about subprime car loans, or are you talking about new purchase car loans? Because the subprime car loan business has been suffering for some time.
Are they going to bundle them and make them an investment?
That's what they already do.
They already.
Wow.
They always do that. That's the easy part. But here's the key that they were saying, that you can get a new car loan for 6, 7, sometimes 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and what he's saying is, and this is strictly speculation, it wasn't in gospel, is that used to be there was no such thing longer than 3 years on a new car loan.
Right.
Now they go up to 7 and 8 years.
I say that the car then should be under warranty for that entire time.
Well, it can be if you buy it. Now, here's the other part, Joe.
But then
All
my
right.
payment's too much.
When that car, when those car payments were for 3 years, that car was $10,000-$12,000 maybe.
And
Today, that car is $50,000 or $60,000, and you may not be able to pay it off in 3 years.
the other side of the coin is, too, way back when we were kids, if a car ever made it to 100,000 miles, it was a miracle.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, they are
absolutely.
lasting longer. They're making cars
Today,
better.
100,000 miles is considered nothing on a car. 200 starts to become a little bit of a stretch. But maintenance on a car is different. The computer technologies, all of this stuff, it's a better automobile today, no doubt about it, than it was when we were kids.
Oh, I agree.
So the concept, and I'm listening to this, and I'm not agreeing with it as I'm listening to it, because, I mean, I've had a car. My favorite car was a 1997 Ford Thunderbird.
Okay.
The last of, they didn't make them anymore after that.
Was it a 5.0?
No, it was a, no,
Jeez.
see, you treated people.
That's
I'm
your
telling you.
favorite? And it wasn't a
You
5.0?
gotta have- no, I didn't.
They put the 5
my
liter
car,
in the.
It rode good. It handled good. It fit my back. I could take a trip in it. I was a happy camper. It had plenty of power. It's like my little Mustang right now. The standard engine is 300 horsepower. Standard.
Well, see, they're also getting more horsepower out of smaller engines,
When
too.
we were,
So,
when we were kids, we couldn't make a car get up to 300 horsepower. I mean, we had them smoking and carrying on like crazy, but that's now. But what happened is, I got that car, and my last one that I bought used for
The white one.
Yeah, for the $850, and I put $4,000 into it, and it lasted for 200,000 miles. And it looked at me one day and said, "I'm done. Forget it. I don't care how much money you
what
spend
starts
on
to
me."
happen, though, is the little things start going. The knobs to the radio and the seat,
That wasn't-
everything
I
gets
had-
sort of
all
wore
that
out.
stuff I put in brand new.
Okay.
That was part of spending the car. I made that car inside and outside a brand new car.
But a car is really just transportation to get from point A to point B.
Maybe for you.
Well, it is. Now, there's ego.
not my
there's
Mustang.
ego on top of that.
I love cars.
Okay?
I
Well,
love
you know,
fast cars.
You know, I've got some fast cars.
Well, that's where the ego
Yeah,
comes in.
yeah.
But then there's ego, but it's basic. It's transportation.
Right.
Then I look at safety.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I look at all the bells and whistles. Okay. But if you get a car and you drive it past a certain point of no return, that doesn't mean it's not a good car.
No.
It just means there's no real value
Right.
left
Yeah.
when you go to trade it in. So I tell people,
We call that yours.
keep it as long as you can.
Yeah.
Keep it as long as you
Yeah.
can. Don't trade it in and get $1,000 for it.
We had a 74 Chevy van. We said we're going to keep it till the wheels fall off. You know what happened?
The
On
wheels fell
US
off.
1, a wheel
The wheels
came
fell off.
Axle broke. That was the end of it.
Well, I've got a 07 F-150 Ford four-door pickup with 65,000 miles, and every time I look at it, I don't want to drive it because it's gonna live longer than me because it drags my little boat down to the Keys, and that's its main job.
Yeah. It's a great vehicle to own.
Yeah, I love that thing, and it rides, handles, everything works.
And talk about safety.
Yeah,
Big
I'm
old truck.
assuming it's
Yeah,
pretty safe.
Big old truck.
Big old truck. And I tell you, it's just I'm looking at it saying you're now an 07. You're starting to fade a bit. I may have to get it painted. You know,
Well, I mean, you can get a nice paint job for
Yeah. $500.
$500-600, and
Yeah.
it'll look good till you don't need it anymore.
Anyway, as we all get older, that doesn't mean we're not functional. We just
But
have,
going
we
back
just
to
have
your
we
story
have
about
wear
the
sto-
bubble.
The bubble,
Okay, here's the thing. I believe that if you put next to nothing down,
right?
and a lot of times you'll say, hey, 0 down, 0 first payment, blah, blah, blah.
You can
to-
be
to
upside
get
down
you-
on a new car.
Oh, you drive it off the car lot. If you haven't put gap insurance on that thing, you're so far upside down you don't have a clue. And if you're unlucky enough to total it out quickly, like in the first year or so,
Oh boy.
you're going to not have a car and still owe payments.
Now let me ask you, Dan, because and I know you can do this with all kinds of different policies. They call it car replacement.
Okay.
There's certain companies that advertise it like crazy on
Yeah.
TV that pretend like
But
they're
you
the
pay
only
more
company.
for that,
You pay
right?
for
You
that.
pay for that.
There's not a single ad where they say, "Oh, disappearing deductible, this and that." If you've got like
You're giving me nothing unless I wreck my car.
like raised glasses, or you can read the disclaimer at the bottom. It says those are all endorsements.
So what happened? Let's say I buy a
Mm-hmm.
car that's listed for $30,000. Let's just use that number. But because I'm upside down, I walk away with it and I owe $32,000.
Well, here's the worst scenario.
Okay.
You come to the dealership and you're going to trade old Betsy in,
Right.
but you still owe money on her.
Right.
And they say, "No problem, Joe. We're going to roll what you owe into your new loan."
Exactly.
Now you're really upside down.
So now I owe 35.
You might owe 35 in a car that they're going to say is worth 28.
Yes. So now I told her.
You're going to owe the difference.
So now I told her, what if I have this new car replacement stuff, insurance?
You should have gap coverage.
Is that what that's called?
Yeah. Well, gap coverage pays the difference basically between what you owe and what we're going to say it's worth. If you lease a car, almost every lease includes gap because
Okay.
you're so in danger of having that problem if you total it out
Yeah,
during
yeah,
that
yeah,
period.
yeah.
We can put gap on a lease car, but I usually tell people look and see if it's already included. Normally it is.
I got you.
Because you can really be in trouble. So if you put a nice little down payment, it's just like let's change the subject. You're buying a house.
Right.
You put little to nothing down.
Right.
They're going to make you buy insurance. Okay?
Yeah.
The same thing happens with the car. You put little to nothing down, you should get some gap insurance to cover yourself. If you put a nice amount down on your house, they say you don't need that PMI.
I got you.
Okay,
And
you
if
put a nice down payment on your car, you don't
You
need
don't
it.
need that.
Now, what about people who walk in and just buy it outright? What kind of insurance how insured should they be?
How
then?
rich are they?
Well, they just came in and paid cash.
Well, now they could be real poor.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay, but if
Yeah.
it was a nothing deal, I would say
okay, you of course want to cover yourself from being damaged by
Liability.
another
Yeah,
person.
right, you want
but
good
Or
liability
and-
limits.
what
you
about the
want-
comp and collision? Should you?
I usually start at $1,000 deductible.
Okay.
Because I'm going to tell you, I've seen people with $100 deductible. Now, $100 scratch, you probably can't even hardly see.
Yeah.
But you're paying me extra money for the privilege to put that claim in. And if you put that claim in, it's against your record.
Yeah.
Now you have a legitimately larger claim. they may get rid of you.
Right.
Yeah, the concept.
Yeah, I would say you've got like less than $500 damage. You should just be fixing that car yourself.
I usually put 1,000, and here's what I tell people: this is the difference between what you had and the 1,000 deductible. If you had been paying that difference from the time you started driving, you'd be thousands and thousands of dollars to the good.
And I'm thinking, if I buy that new car and I own it outright, and I don't carry the comp and collision, let's just say I have the $1,000 deductible. I have to have $1,000 worth, over $1,000 worth of damage to have a claim.
Yeah.
That car's got to be pretty wrecked.
Out of $1,000, no.
I hate to tell you.
That's
No.
not much of a wreck.
$1,500 gets sucked really fast.
Yeah.
Today with the cars, with the technology.
But I know that I'm not going to want
And
it.
you have to remember,
Remember, there's no
that
great big bumpers on cars.
that claim has to be your fault.
Okay.
If somebody's hit you and caused the $1,500 in damage to your bumper, which is nothing because they're made out of plastic and they bend all in, and they don't fix them, they just replace them,
Okay.
they have to fix it.
Now, if it's an uninsured motorist, how's that work?
You better have comp and collision, okay?
On
We
your-
will fix it, and then we'll subrogate against them. If you get hurt in the process, now you need some uninsured motorist coverage.
There you go. 340-1590, 340-1590. This is not exactly why we're here to talk.
Well, we've been
But
all
these
over
are-
the
these are
insurance
good-
topic today.
These are good conversations that we all take for granted when it comes to car insurance. But one of the things I think that's important that people forget is a little counseling once in a while on different kinds of coverage, not just to say, hey, here's what I've got, Dan, match it and see how you can do for me. Okay, fine, so Dan does that. But if Dan says, hey, by the way, Joe, I can match this stuff, but if you get sued for more than $10,000, it's your
You're
problem.
in trouble. Well, here's a great example. A lot of times I'll see for property damage.
Right.
That's where you hit somebody else's property.
Right.
Usually it's a car, and you do more damage to it than $25,000,
Right.
which doesn't take much if you hit a newer car.
Yeah,
What if you hit a building?
you hit a building, it can be big time.
What if you're out in your truck and you hit a little pole that's used for telephone line transmissions? It's extremely expensive. So the difference between $25,000 and $50,000 is usually just a couple of dollars.
Yeah.
Now, if I tell you that after you've had the claim,
Not good.
you're not happy with me.
No.
So the key is to try to get you to make those decisions up front.
340-1590, 340-1590. And I think we got a caller. Hey, Paul, it's Joe Martek. You're on the radio.
Hey, good morning, crew.
Good morning.
Job.
Good morning, Paul.
Hey, in relation to the accidents with the automobiles, and it's not your fault, what do you have to do as the individual that got hit to protect yourself from being charged extra by your insurance company? Because after so many not-at-fault accidents, they still up your rate, don't they?
Depending on the carrier, Paul, usually what we try to do to avoid any involvement by your insurance is to have the claim paid directly by the party's insurance who hit you. So what normally would happen is this: if you were to not call your agent but call your insurance company and say, hey, I got hit by a guy, hit me in the rear, I'm letting you know, you have notified them that you have this problem. They may go ahead and pay your claim and then subrogate against the party that hit you.
Right.
And try to get your deductible back. Usually the cleanest thing is to do this. I would tell my client to call me. You should have a police report. We can contact the carrier of the person who hit you. We can send that police report directly to them and avoid you having to go through your insurance at all.
That's the best way to go. 'Cause
No doubt
then
about it.
You're not even involved in
Your insurance is
company.
not even involved. Now here's the bad part of that equation. Okay, Florida has coverage called personal injury protection. It's PIP
Yeah.
coverage.
Right.
And Paul, you only have a limited amount of time to notify your carrier that you're not feeling good as a result of this accident.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens in some cases is you call, you say, hey, I'm feeling okay, but I just wanted to report it. I may need to go to the doctor in the next week or two because I may not be feeling good. I don't know. Well, now you have a PIP claim filed against you. even if you don't use it. And if you get
Now,
more,
is that against your insurance?
it's against your insurance because PIP is covered. Your PIP covers you.
Right.
All right. Now, this is where I've been, and I've talked about this before on the air, and I'm complaining to Tallahassee on an annual basis. The way the law is done, it encourages you to file a potential PIP claim even though you're not hurting because you only have a limited amount of time. And remember, Paul, this is from something that happened that was not your fault. Somebody hit you.
Right.
If you have more than two of those, even though they were not caused by you, you have insurance companies out there who will non-renew you or raise your rates to the point where you find it extremely expensive. My theory is this.
They force you to file just as a precaution, and then they penalize you for filing.
Yeah.
I mean,
So here's what should happen. The law should be changed where I can see the company holding a PIP claim against you if the accident was your fault.
right.
But if it was not your fault, it should not be held against you. Currently, they can do that, and I have been arguing that point and letting people who I think are in a position to know that they can maybe change that because it does put you in a bad position when the state says you have to have the coverage, so you buy it.
And that's not that old.
No.
It was probably put in place by the insurance companies to cover them.
And I
not
understand.
us. They don't care about
well,
us.
see, the insurance companies were saying this. Look, you get in a car wreck and you come in 6 months later and say, my back hurts because of the car wreck. And they're saying there needs to be a time limit as to when you can do that. And I understand that position.
There was a lot of abuse of that.
Absolutely. So it's logical.
Yeah.
But I think that there should not be anything held against you if the claim was not your fault.
You're working on that, and we encourage anybody to contact our state insurance commission and try to get that
That's
rule
what I was
changed.
going to ask next. I said, is there anything we can do to get on the
Absolutely.
bandwagon to
Contact your local
help
state
that?
rep and say, hey, listen, can you lend some light to this, because there's a committee in one of your elected officials have an insurance committee, and there should be some legislation that says PIP claims that are not caused by you but somebody hitting you should not be allowed to be held against you.
Period. Yeah.
Period.
Or there should be a different time frame or something, maybe, type of thing.
I don't think you should be charged any time
If
it's not your fault.
Not against you, didn't cause it. Yeah. I mean, why?
But
why?
in relation to the other claim, like say you get hit, other than a PIP, the car, you get hit enough times, or you break a window too many times, that still eventually will increase your premium, won't it?
Yes, it can. It certainly can.
Yeah, I don't know. Are you a liability to them? I mean,
Well,
it's not your fault. Things happen to people, but they happen too
accident
many times
prone.
to you.
They're going to say you're snake bitten. They don't want you.
Hey, I know.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
people that can't walk and chew gum. You don't want to be nearby.
Now, we do have some carriers that say, hey, Paul, we'll sell you a policy and we'll guarantee to renew it.
Yep.
Okay, now, first of all, that's an option. It costs a little more to have that little bell and whistle. But nowhere in the verbiage does it tell you what the price will be.
There comes another problem.
Okay, so yeah, they'll keep you, but they'll raise your rates ungodly high. And you may think, well, maybe I'm not so lucky to have them keep me.
Yeah, right.
Should your uninsured motorist be kind of equal to your liability, like 100?
Well, that's
100,
normally
300?
that's normally what I recommend, is that you get the same limits to protect yourself that you purchased to protect me from you. Okay, and if you own more than one car, even if you don't, I also recommend the stacking option, which lets you stack that coverage. Yeah. But yeah, in Florida we have such a huge percentage of drivers that have no coverage or have basic limits. That's why if you look at your uninsured motorist premiums, they're so high now. And that's why people don't buy
How
it.
does that happen, though? Why you have to prove you have insurance when you go get your tag.
Yeah, but guess
anything
what?
you do,
Then you cancel it. Now you got your tag.
But don't they come after you then? Don't they cancel your
You're
tag?
thinking logically.
No,
They don't.
I mean, it almost feels like there should be no such thing.
Well, they tried to do that. Okay, at one time, if you dropped your insurance, they were coming at you to get your tags. The state came back and said, we're making too many mistakes. The insurance
tag.
companies are not giving us good, accurate data, because let's say the insurance company sends to Tallahassee, he didn't make his payment. And they say, go get his tag. And then the payment gets there.
Okay.
Now you're saying, well, I paid my payment, and you're coming to get my tag.
The
So
answer is
instead of fixing the program, they got rid of the program.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I tell my rep is, so you're telling me that the computers that they bought in Tallahassee are retarded computers? They don't work
or
good.
very slow.
They're very slow.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
other states can accomplish that, but
Yeah.
we can't.
Yeah.
So I believe that there should be plenty of underinsured drivers who don't buy the same limits you buy,
Sure.
but zero uninsured drivers.
Right.
And that's the problem, Paul. We have lots of uninsured
Yep,
drivers.
Yep.
Hey, Paul. Thank you for
Thank you,
good input.
guys.
Call
Keep up the
anytime.
good work.
Thanks. 340-1590, 340-1590. Yeah, Paul's been around the block a bit. He knows what's going on, and it helps to educate people, and that's what our job is. Whether it's legal.
Well, Joe, the sad thing is this. Over the years, I have seen insurance, not just on the home side, but now on the car side, become so expensive, it's really affecting my clients that live on fixed incomes.
Hey, listen, it affected me tremendously. I have to work for the
Well,
rest
what
of my
affected
life.
you was your bad driving habits.
Then there's that.
I know. I wasn't. That's where I was going, but I didn't expect that answer that
But
quick.
we did find a savior for you there.
You saved me $150 a month.
Yeah, so you
$150 a month.
That's great.
That's a good chunk of change.
Yeah.
It's not my fault that car keeps running over things.
That's right. That's right. It's that red paint.
340-1590, 340-1590. Let me talk a little bit about money.
That's always a good topic.
What happens is, and especially yesterday and probably today, the market took a pretty good hit yesterday, and it might take a hit today. We've been saying for over a year that the market's been full. And then it continued going up because of perception, because of the Trump bump. Now, the market might take a hit 5 or 10% and correct, because now perception is maybe Trump is not going to be able to pull off all of these miracles as fast as he would like to because of politics.
Because of obstruction.
Obstruction, and he is not good at handling obstruction, so he's going to get a little bit vociferous with Republicans, Democrats, all of them, which is fine with me. But the key is this. The object of the stock market truly is based on if the economy continues to do well and go up, the stock market should at least stay even or continue to go up. But if it goes up too much at some point, it has to get back down to what is called a fair market value. Is it at fair market value today? By everybody's estimation, the answer is no. Could it be at a potential fair market value in 6 months or a year?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So the way the market always works, it works 6 months to a year in advance, and it always has and it always will, because that's just the way the system works. In the meantime, so now I have clients that say, Joe, I'm scared, I'm old, or I'm thinking I'm old, or I'm getting old, and I just don't want risk. But I can't afford to be in the bank making 0.5% or 1% on my $100,000.
And there's a lot of people like that, Joe.
Ton of people. And when you retire and you have Social Security and maybe a pension, and then let's say you got $200,000 and you're making 1%, that's $2,000 a year. That's $180.
It's a good weekend.
Yeah, boy. I mean, you
That's not going to subsidize your lifestyle.
When I went out with my uncle to Pietro's on the beach for dinner, and he stuck me with half the check, it cost me $180 for two of them.
What'd you eat?
Lobster.
Okay.
I thought he was buying.
That's what you get for thinking.
Anyway.
Was it good?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there you
For that
go.
kind of money, it better be good. And I don't mind.
It was the best lobster ever.
Let me just tell you something.
And the view was probably awesome.
Yeah, only if you went before it got dark.
Yeah, this is true.
I'll get even with them. When next time I take them out, we're going to McDonald's. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that the concept of money, it depends on what you are looking to accomplish. So I'm going to talk about two different instruments. One is long-term. Now, this is called an annuity contract, which is with an insurance company. And why do we have such a thing? Well, number one, any money you put into an annuity, you don't pay a commission up front. But they have penalties in case you take the money out too soon. Number two, these are tax deferred, meaning if you don't take money out, there's no taxes until you take money out. When you take money out, it's ordinary income tax. Number three, if you get sued, they can't be taken away from you, so your money is protected. Number four, when you decide to die, there's no probate. The money goes to whoever is written down as beneficiaries. Very simple. So that's the reasons we have it. Now, the kind that I like today is what's called a variable annuity. The word variable is not a comfortable word for most people. because that means uncertain. Well, variable means there's two parts to this thing. One, I'm in the market, and the market goes up and down. That's the variable part, but I'm in the market. But you say, Joe, listen, I'm scared to death that the market goes down and I lose my money, but I need to get income off of that. And say, well, there's certain insurance companies, and by the way, you're supposed to know which insurance company you're dealing with, their claims paying ability. These are rules that I've got to tell you about on the radio. But the key is this. I only deal with the highest rated companies in America, period. I refuse to deal with companies that are not because I don't want any aggravation, period. But the key is that most of these companies today say, okay, here's what we're going to do. If you're the right age, we will guarantee you a 5% income on whatever you put into this contract for the rest of your life. So let's just take $100,000. That means $5,000 a year. And you can start taking it out monthly the first month that you're in it. So you're going to get $450 or $80 a month, whatever it is, 5,000 divided by 12. And then once a year, most of these companies will say, okay, fine, on an anniversary date or on certain dates, we will look. And if the market is up on that particular date, we will reset your number. And now your income will be reset. So let's just take a ridiculous example. We put 100 in, we're collecting 5,000. A year later, it's worth 150. That's a 50% growth. I doubt that would happen, but let's just use that. They now lock that number in, and they multiply that times 5%, and that would be now $7,500 a year. And you say, whoa, boy, goody, goody, but what happens if the market goes down to 50,000 next year? We have a catastrophe. The insurance company says, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make sure you stay at that $7,500 a year for the rest of your life, or when the market goes higher again and they reset it. It cannot be reset lower. It can only be reset higher. So what they're doing is they're saying, we're going to have this so you know you can plan, and if things go well, you get to share in the
growth.
pros. And if things go poorly, you're protected from an income standpoint where you know you're going to have your income. Then the same person says to me, hey, Joe, what happens when I die? Well, a lot of these companies say, we'll put in a guaranteed death benefit that equals the amount of money you're taking out, roughly 5%. So I put in $100,000, I take out $5,000. The company says, fine, we have a death benefit for $5,000. You decide to die, and the market's down to $50,000. You get your $100,000 back. The market's up to 110 or 120, which is more than the 5% you took out. That's what your beneficiary gets. Now, nobody. Can you imagine, Dan, people not liking insurance companies?
You know what?
It's one of those things.
It's a two-edged sword.
Yeah.
Okay. I tell people that everything they buy, everything they do, and everywhere they go based on our litigious society is accomplished because someone has insurance.
Yeah. Yeah.
If they didn't, you would live by the law of the gun.
But we're a society that wants somebody else to pay for everything we do.
Well, but forget that rule. Here's the reality. You have to protect yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So insurance companies make a profit. Can you imagine insurance companies making money?
Well, we
know that they do because
they have to.
Yeah.
If they
the
don't
only
make
commercials
money,
on TV.
If they don't make money, guess what? They can't pay claims.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I deal with a lot of insurance companies. You're going to start seeing a stiffening of the personal auto insurance market here in Florida. Now, that's the word, that's the jargon used by my reps.
Yeah.
I'm telling the people who are listening, stiffening means the prices are going to increase.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're out there and you get a big price increase, give us a call because I'm telling you, it's happening. It's happening.
Well, here's the key, the rules of life. Insurance companies are going to make money. Now, I used to have an old rule when I was in the insurance business. I was a casualty agent for farmers way, way, way back. And I used to talk to these reps, and they'd come in and say, hey, the rule's pretty simple. We take in $100, we pay out $65, we keep $35. The $35 pays commissions, expenses, and profit. If we pay out $90, we have to raise the rates. If we can lower the rates because we're only paying out $50, sometimes they would give the agent a bonus. They would do all kinds of stuff because the company made more money. And literally, supposedly, every state insurance commission office has to work with these different insurance companies on setting rates, and insurance companies just don't arbitrarily get to raise rates. They have to go in and say, hey,
they have to file.
We lost money, or we, whatever.
But you got to remember, Joe, that there's more to it than commission in premium and claims. Insurance companies also bring in earnings from other investments. So if you're going through a time when the market is doing very well for a long period of time, and real estate's doing very well because many of them are heavily invested in real estate, you could see a competitive position in auto insurance as you've seen for a while. Now when the indication is the market's maybe getting flat, real estate is not as lucrative as it was because prices have gone up. They're going to look and saying, we need to make the money on the underwriting side of it. We can't count on the investment side to help us out, and that's when things start to go up, Joe.
So the whole concept is, bottom line is dollar in, X out, and the insurance companies get to keep. So when it works to this annuity contract, the insurance company doesn't take any money out of your income. It doesn't take money out of the death benefit. They take it out of the market value. And if by chance you happen to win and the market never goes up and the insurance company loses, that's the way life works. But let's face it, over a long period of time, they're looking at like the S&P 500 has averaged 8 to 10% a year. Yeah, it can have some bad years, and yeah, it can have some good years. But one of the problems, like I had an old guy come in to see me, he was 80, and he had $1.5 million portfolio, and it was down $400,000. And his agent said, hey, give me some time, I'll make it back for you. And he says, I'm 80. How much time do you think I've got? So one of the things that happens is this particular kind of contract says, hey, this will take the rough edges away. This will make sure you're protected. And if you don't want guesswork, if you just want to know where you're going to be and you don't want to become an expert on everything, I really, really like the program.
Joe, if I bought a contract like that, if I died, could I leave that investment to my wife?
Of course. There's all kinds of wrinkles that can be put in. And it's also called, if it's an IRA, automatically it can become the IRA of the beneficiary, and especially if that beneficiary is a blood relative, meaning your spouse or your children, it becomes their IRA at their age, unless you're taking withdrawals out and you're over 70 and a half. Different rule, but the bottom line is, we name beneficiaries in these contracts, and what we do is this eliminates probate, this eliminates the court system. Oftentimes we take a husband and wife and put them together on the same contract, so in case one dies, the other one just keeps going like nothing happened. So there's all kinds of different wrinkles that can be put in. Those are the fine details, like we're talking car insurance and liability and how much for this and how much for that. So it's education. So I sit with people, and I love these kind of contracts because I get to sleep. I don't have to worry about my clients. And when the market takes a big hit, people start to worry, but not with this type of contract.
Now, I know earlier you said that, if you put that money into the annuity, it can grow tax deferred.
Right.
But what if I was an 80-year-old guy and I said, I don't want to wait, I want to get it immediately? Can I do that?
What? You want
on the annuity? Can I start getting my monthly payments right away?
Hey, 30 days.
30
from
days
the day you
out.
start. You can start getting income. So they're guaranteeing a 5%. A lot of these say when you turn 75 or 80, they go to 6%. So they start paying a higher income.
Is that based on the life expectancy?
I must be. The key is this. They do that. It's an incentive to make you look better or whatever it is. But the bottom line is it gives you more income. And each time they do this, they set that number in stone and it can't go down, but they can readjust it once a year up if the market performs. So the key with this, these are designed for income, or let's say you're 45, 50 years old. A lot of these things say, okay, fine, if you stay with us for 12 years, we're going to guarantee a doubling of your money. So when you start taking income, no matter what. Some of them say, here's what we're going to do. We're going to say if the market never goes up and you don't take money out, we're going to add 6% a year to this contract, which if we use the rule of 72, that's 12 years, the money doubles. And now you start taking income, no matter what, it isn't at that 100,000, it's at 200,000 times 5%. You'd now be generating 10 grand a year, and it can never go down from that number, but it can go up. So I love the program for people that it fits. Now, I've got a client right now with a substantial amount of money, and we've got annuity contracts, but they also have what I call short-term money.
Okay.
They want to keep it liquid because they may want to buy a house, investment properties, different things. So what do? Well, we got different types of instruments, but right today, my more favorite type are called REITs, R-E-I-T, Real Estate Investment Trust. Why? Well, think about real estate. When the market is doing well, not doing poorly, the values of real estate constantly creep up. Now, no guarantee that it always is going to, but this has been the nature of it.
Now, is this an investment against the actual properties, or is this investments against notes?
Well, it can be literally mortgages. It can be literally, let's say we own great big shopping centers or commercial buildings or the Empire State Building. One can say, fine, we own that building and we collect all these rents, and in these real estate investment trusts, we have to pay out 90% of the profits every 3 months. Well, if they've got a building with Class A tenants in it and everything is looking hunky-dory, let's face it, that's looking pretty good. So a lot of these real estate trusts are paying out between 10 and 15% in dividends per year, which is a pretty nice number. And the only ones I deal with are 100% liquid, meaning I can buy it today and I can sell it tomorrow. Are we in the market? Yes. But the underlying investments in an inclining market, real estate, looks pretty good. Now, if all of a sudden the market turns and goes south, what's the first things to get hit are usually real estate and automobiles. So I today like these things a lot for people that are looking for short-term money that they may want to make that 10 or 15% and not just be sitting around making a half or one. Last, when a person says to me, Joe, I got 50 grand and I want to have short-term money, I say, how short? They say 6 months, and I say, keep it in the bank.
Yeah.
I mean, that bottom line is, when I say short-term money, yeah, if you need to get it, you can. But remember this, you got to pay me. I get a commission paid up front. So I want you to stick around for at least 6 months. A year is better. But
to recoup everything and make a profit.
Yeah, if you need, it's always there, no matter what. 340-1590, 340-1590. Mother, are we almost out?
About 20 seconds, so
20
say
20
goodbye.
seconds to get in trouble, Joe.
Oh, boy. And I've
done that.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, that didn't take, it was pretty easy to do years ago.
Just a few words.
340-1590, folks. I want to thank everybody for listening. Paul, thanks
Paul.
for calling in. And until next week.
You've been listening to the Team Martek Hour. The Team Martek Hour is a paid program. The content was provided by the advertiser. WPSL, its staff, management, and ownership were not responsible for its content. Investment involves risk. Prior to making any investment, an investor should meet suitability requirements. Past results are not necessarily indicative of future performance. Neither the opinions expressed nor the information provided constitutes a recommendation to purchase or provide investment advice. The material presented is not a substitute for obtaining professional advice from a qualified person or firm. Securities offered through Centaurus Financial, member FINRA and SIPC. Tune in again next Wednesday at 11:05 for the Team Martek Hour here on WPSL 1590.